I hid my husband's passport, I planted a tracker in his suitcase, and I watched from my living room, nursing a 3-month-old baby as my husband and his mistress tried to figure out what went wrong with their little getaway. I was not going to make this easy for him. You know how people say you always know? I believe that now. I didn't believe it then, or maybe I didn't want to. There's a difference between knowing something and being willing to pick it up and look at it directly. For a long time, I chose not to look. The first thing I noticed was the distraction. Richard had always been present, not effusive, not the kind of man who made grand gestures, but there. When he looked at you, he was looking at you. When you were talking, he was listening. That was one of the things I had loved about him, the quality of his attention. That attention went somewhere else. At first I told myself it was work. He was in the middle of a difficult quarter, a project that was eating his weekends, and I had always understood, that his career required him sometimes, and I was occupied too. Our third child, Maya, had arrived in September, and I was deep in the particular exhaustion of a newborn. The feedings at 2 and 4, the way your whole self reorganizes around this new small creature, the way time stops being linear and becomes instead a series of cycles measured in hunger and sleep. I was tired. He was distracted. I told myself this was just the shape of our life right now. Then I found the receipt. It was in the pocket of his jacket, not hidden exactly, tucked. A jewelry store receipt for a bracelet I had never seen. I checked my memory carefully, the way you do when you want to give someone the benefit of the doubt. Birthday? No. Anniversary? No. I checked the date on the receipt. No occasion I could place. I put it back where I found it. I didn't say anything. Then there was the shirt. I was doing laundry, the endless laundry of a household with 3 children, including an infant, and I pulled one of his dress shirts from the hamper, and something stopped me. A scent. Floral. Warm. Not my perfume. Not anything I owned. I stood in the laundry room holding his shirt for a long moment. I put it in the wash. I still didn't say anything, but I started paying attention in a different way. The kind of attention that catalogs. The way he angled his phone screen away when he was texting, the way he came home late twice in 1 week, and both times his explanation was slightly imprecise. Not a lie exactly, but not a complete truth either. The way he had stopped looking at me, the way he used to look at me. I knew that look. I had loved that look. It was gone. Julie called me one afternoon while Maya was napping. Julie was my best friend of 11 years, the kind of woman who would tell you something hard because she loved you and not because she wanted to watch it hurt. I trusted her completely. She hesitated before she said it, which was how I knew it was going to be bad. I saw Richard last week, she said. At that new Ethiopian restaurant. He was having dinner with someone. A colleague, I said. Another pause. She was young, Sasha, and the way they were sitting. She stopped. I almost called you right then. I didn't know what to say. He told me he was working late, I said. The words came out very flat, very even. I was surprised by how even they came out. I'm sorry, Julie said. Don't be, I said. I needed to know. I sat with Maya after I hung up, watching her sleep in the small, perfect way that babies sleep, and I felt the information settle into me. Not devastation. That would come later, in its own time. What I felt right then was something colder, something that organized itself into clarity. I was not going to fall apart. I had a newborn. I had 2 other children. I had a household and a life and responsibilities that did not pause for heartbreak. What I was going to do was find out exactly what I was dealing with, and then I was going to make some decisions. I paid closer attention. I started going through the credit card statements, our joint account, the one we had always shared without question because we had always trusted each other, or I had trusted him. That distinction was becoming important. There were hotel charges, not extravagant, but consistent. Afternoon hours, midweek. A florist charge I didn't recognize. The bracelet receipt I had already found. A restaurant I had never been taken to, charged twice in 1 month. Joint money, our money. I took photographs of everything and put them in a folder on my laptop. Then one evening, while he was in the shower, his laptop was open on the kitchen table. I am not proud of what I did next. I am also not ashamed of it. I read the email that was sitting open on the screen. It was from a woman named Diane. It was detailed enough that I understood immediately that this had been going on for some time. It was affectionate in a way that made my jaw tighten. And at the bottom, there were plans. 5 days. Vancouver. He had told her he was taking her somewhere beautiful. He had told me he was going to Boston for a work conference. I closed the laptop exactly as I had found it. I went upstairs. I checked on Maya. I stood in her nursery for a while in the dark, listening to her breathe. Then I went and found his passport. I called Julie the next morning. "He's planning a trip," I said. "With her. 5 days in Vancouver. He told me he was going to Boston." "Sasha." Her voice dropped. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet," I said. "I'm not ready to confront him, not until I know exactly where I stand." "Okay," she said. "Then let's think about this." I could hear her settling in, the way Julie settled in when she was about to be useful. Don't let him walk out that door and have a lovely vacation while you're home with a 3-month-old. "Absolutely not," I said. "So here's what I think," she said. "Make it impossible. Not in a way that tips him off, just in a way that makes it so he can't relax for a single minute of that trip." She paused. "Call him constantly. Text him things that need responses. The kids, the baby, logistics, things he can't ignore without looking like a bad father. Keep him on the phone with the children," I said, following her logic. "Exactly. And, Sasha, request a FaceTime, with a room tour. Make him work for the lie." I laughed, the dark kind of laugh. "Also," Julie said, "he told you Boston, right?" "Right. So remind him about Boston, constantly. Ask him to bring things back. Specific things from specific places, things that only exist in Boston." I thought about that. "There's a bakery in Boston's Chinatown," I said slowly. "He knows I love their custard buns. I've mentioned it before." "Then you need those custard buns," Julie said. "You've never wanted anything more in your life." "Maximum emotional damage," I said. "Maximum emotional damage," she confirmed. "I hid his passport 2 days before he was supposed to leave. I put it somewhere in the house he would never think to look, tucked inside a box of Maya's newborn clothes in the storage closet, under a stack of tiny onesies he had no reason to go near. And then I waited. The day before his trip, he started looking. I was feeding Maya when he came into the living room, already slightly distracted, going through the usual spots. The drawer by the door, the filing cabinet, the leather document holder we kept in the office. I watched him without appearing to watch him. "Have you seen my passport?" he asked. "Your passport?" I said. "Why would you need your passport for Boston?" He stopped. "Right," he said. "No, I just like to have it. In case." "In case of what?" I said pleasantly. "Boston is domestic, Richard. You just need your license." "I know," he said. I like to travel with it. It'll turn up," I said. "It's probably where you left it." He spent the next 2 hours looking. I nursed Maya and watched a show I'd been meaning to get to, and let him look. The morning he left, I transferred my old phone into the interior lining of his carry-on, the hidden backing, the place where he would never look. Richard was not a detail man. He packed quickly and he packed in a hurry, and I had counted on that. He kissed me goodbye. He kissed the kids. He held Maya for a moment, and for that moment he looked like himself, the man I had married, the man I had built a life with, and I felt the grief of it move through me like a riptide, not the surface pull, but the deeper one, the kind that doesn't announce itself until you're already being taken, the kind you have to stop fighting in order to survive. Then he was gone. The tracker showed me everything. I watched him take the route to the Seattle ferry terminal, not to any airport servicing Boston. I had expected this, but seeing it in real time, watching that small dot move steadily in the wrong direction, made it real in a way that the hotel receipts and the emails hadn't quite managed. He sat at the terminal for so long I began to wonder if he had found the phone, if this was as far as the plan would get. But then the dot moved again, onto the ferry. I lost it for a while. The signal dropped somewhere on the water, and I sat in my kitchen feeding Maya and watching a blank screen, waiting. Then it came back. Orcas Island, not Vancouver. They had changed their plans when the passport disappeared, but they had gone somewhere. Somewhere quiet and beautiful and far enough away to feel like an escape. I picked up my phone and called him. He answered on the third ring with the particular tone of a man trying to sound relaxed. Hey, I said, sorry to bother you. Have you seen your blue Oxford shirt? I wanted to wash it and have it ready when you get home. A pause. The blue one? The one you like? The one from last Christmas? It's probably in the closet, Sasha. I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle of In the middle of what? I thought the conference doesn't start until tomorrow. Right. I meant, I'm just getting settled. Oh, good, I said. Hey, the kids want to FaceTime, especially Daniel. He's been asking for you all day. I'll call him tonight. He really wants to see your room, I said. Can you do a quick tour? He loves seeing where you stay on trips. Another pause. Longer this time. Sure, he said. Tonight. Great, I said. Also, don't forget the custard buns from Chinatown. The ones I like. You know the place. Right? He said. His voice had taken on a specific tightness. The custard buns. The kids will love them too, I said warmly. Safe travels, honey. I hung up and sat for a moment in the quiet. Then I texted him a link to the bakery's website. Just to be helpful, I called 3 more times that first day, once to ask about the pediatrician appointment I already knew the date of, once to let him know that Maya had seemed a little fussy and I thought she might be coming down with something. She wasn't, but he didn't need to know that. Once to let Daniel talk to him for 20 minutes about a video game, which Daniel was very happy to do and which I was very happy to facilitate. The FaceTime happened that evening. He took it in what I now understood was the hotel lobby, angling the camera carefully. I noticed he did not offer the room tour. I asked for it twice. He said the Wi-Fi was better downstairs. I said that was too bad. I asked about the custard buns again. I haven't had a chance yet, he said. It's Boston Chinatown, I said. It's not far from anything. I know, he said. I'll get them. The kids are so excited, I said. He came home on Sunday. He came home tired in the way that isn't restful tired, the tired of someone who did not get the peace they went looking for. There were shadows under his eyes. He was quieter than usual. He put his bag down in the hallway and hugged the kids and held Maya for a long time, and I watched all of this from the kitchen doorway. How was it? I asked. Good, he said. Busy. Did you get the custard buns? He looked at me, a flicker of something behind his eyes. Guilt, I thought, or something adjacent to it. I ran out of time, he said. I'm sorry. I'll order them online. You can't order them online, I said. That's what makes them special. I smiled and went back to the kitchen. The next day I put his passport in the pocket of his laundry bag, semi-visible, just enough that he would find it when he went to put his clothes in. I wanted him to understand, on some level, without anything being said, that things were not as in control as he believed them to be. That evening I heard him in the bedroom, very quiet, going through his carry-on, checking, looking for something. He didn't find the phone. I had already taken it out. Julie called me the next week with a name. Her name is Catherine, Julie said. She's a family lawyer. She went to law school with my cousin. Sasha, she's excellent. Just talk to her. You don't have to do anything yet. Just know where you stand. I made the appointment. Catherine's office was clean and calm, and she had the particular manner of someone who had sat across from many women in exactly my situation and understood that what they needed first was information, not comfort. She explained California's divorce laws to me without softening them, which I appreciated. California was a community property state, she told me. Everything acquired during the marriage, income, property, assets, was split equally. The house we had bought together, the savings, the investments, down the middle. What about support? I asked. I make less than he does. Significantly less. I've taken on more of the childcare, especially with the baby. California courts take that into account, she said. They look at the standard of living during the marriage, the earning capacity of each spouse, contributions to the household, including non-financial contributions, 3 children, 1 a newborn, with a disparity in income. She looked at her notes. You would likely receive spousal support. The amount and duration would depend on the length of the marriage and other factors, but you are in a better position than you might think. Does it matter that he cheated? California is a no-fault state, she said. The divorce itself doesn't hinge on fault. But, she paused, there is something called dissipation of marital assets. If a spouse uses joint funds to finance an affair, hotels, gifts, vacations, the court can award the other spouse reimbursement for those expenditures. She looked at me steadily. Do you have documentation? I opened my bag and put the folder on her desk. She looked through it. Hotel charges, restaurant charges, the florist, the bracelet receipt, all from our joint account. This is a good start, she said. I walked out of her office 2 hours later with a different relationship to my own fear. The thing I had been most afraid of, that leaving would mean losing everything, that the financial reality of our marriage would trap me and the children, had turned out to be a story I had been telling myself, one that wasn't as accurate as Richard might have liked it to be. I chose a Thursday. The kids were at school. Maya was with my mother for the afternoon. I changed the locks while Richard was at work, and I sat in my living room and waited. He tried his key at 6:15. I heard him at the door, the confusion, then the jangle of trying again, then the knock. I went to the door but didn't open it. Sasha. His voice was controlled. He was always controlled first, before he was anything else. What's going on? My key doesn't work. I know, I said. A pause. Can you open the door? I don't think so, I said. Not tonight. Sasha. I know about Diane, I said. Silence. It was a particular kind of silence, the kind that confirms everything. I know about the bracelet, I said. I know about the hotels. I know you didn't go to Boston. I know you went to Orcas Island, Richard, and I know she was with you, and I know you charged all of it on our joint account. Can we just— His voice shifted, lower, more careful. Can we talk about this? Not through a door. Let me in and we can— I talked to a lawyer, I said. She specializes in family law. She explained to me very clearly what I'm entitled to. A longer silence. Sasha, I made a mistake. I know that, and I want to fix it. I want us to— I found your passport, I said, in case you were wondering. I heard him exhale. I need you to know something, I said. I know exactly what happened. I know how long it's been happening. I know what you spent and where you went, and I have documentation of all of it. I kept my voice steady. You have 2 choices. You cooperate with this divorce, and we do this with as little damage to the children as possible. Or you don't, and I use everything I have. I paused. I would strongly recommend the first option. Sasha. His voice was different now. Something had gone out of it. The kids? The kids will be fine, I said. That's what I'm making sure of. That's what I'm choosing. I heard him breathe. I'll have the lawyer's assistant contact you tomorrow, I said. Please make sure you're available. I walked away from the door. I sat down on the couch in my living room, the couch we had chosen together in the house we had bought together, and I sat very still for a moment. Then I picked up my phone and called Julie. It's done, I said. How do you feel? She asked. I thought about it honestly. Like I can breathe, I said. Is that strange? No, she said. That's exactly right. The divorce took 8 months. Richard did not fight it, not seriously. Catherine negotiated from a position of careful documentation and clear California law, and Richard's lawyer, I think, advised him that cooperation was in his interest. The dissipation claim, the hotels, the gifts, the island trip, resulted in a reimbursement credit that reduced what he would have otherwise received from our joint assets. I was awarded the house. Child support for all 3 children, including Maya, calculated against his income. Spousal support for a period that would allow me to increase my own earning capacity while maintaining the children's standard of living. I stood in Catherine's office on the day everything was finalized, and I felt something I hadn't expected to feel. Not victory, exactly. Not grief either. Though that was there underneath, the grief of a marriage and what it had been and what it had turned into. What I felt mostly was solid, like someone had poured concrete into the place where the fear used to be. Maya is almost 2 now. She walks into rooms like she owns them, which I think she does. Daniel has started asking me questions about cooking, which I am choosing to interpret as a sign. Our daughter Lily, who is 7 and has opinions about everything, has informed me that our house is cozy now, which is the best review I have ever received. I think about the year that just passed, and I think about the woman I was at the beginning of it. Exhausted, nursing a newborn, watching her husband's attention go somewhere else, and telling herself it was nothing, it was work, it would pass. I think about what I wish I could tell her. Listen to yourself. That first. That above everything. The thing you know but are afraid to pick up and look at directly. Look at it. It does not get smaller from being avoided. It only gets heavier. Don't let fear make your decisions. I stayed quiet for months because I was afraid of what leaving would mean financially, logistically for my children. What I didn't understand then was that the fear was built on a version of reality that wasn't accurate. That information is armor. That a 2-hour appointment with a lawyer I'd never met changed my entire relationship to my own situation. Your children are watching you. This was the one that mattered most. Not what I said to them, not the explanations I gave or didn't give. What they saw was a woman who found out the truth and did not fall apart. Who was afraid and moved forward anyway, who chose herself and by choosing herself, chose them. I don't know what they'll remember about this time. I hope they remember the house feeling cozy. I hope they remember their mother being steady. I hope when they're older and life presents them with a moment where they have to choose between staying in something that is hurting them and walking through a door that scares them, I hope they walk through the door. I hope they remember that we lived on the other side of that door. Some mornings I wake up early, before the kids, and the house is quiet and the light is just coming through the windows, and I sit with my coffee and I think about a woman who hid a passport in a box of newborn onesies and planted a tracking phone in a carry-on and called her husband 4 times in one day to ask about custard buns he was never going to bring home. She knew exactly what she was doing. I think I always did. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe.